One of the fragrances I've been dying to get my nose on is the re-release of Absolue pour le Soir from Maison Kurkdjian. Well, it's out and it's in my hands right here. The brand spanking new re-release of Absolue pour le Soir, which is a Selfridges exclusive. I want to tell you all about it here in this video. First impressions and also how it compares to the original. But also, they have relaunched exclusively for Selfridges again, Absolue pour le Matin. And I'm going to tell you all about that one as well. That one I don't know anything about, I should say, because I sampled it in the past, but I never really bought it and worn it. So it's going to be somewhat new to me, but I think I might remember what it smells like. But either way, find out about these two new MFK fragrances, re-releases coming right up. Thanks so much for tuning in. It's Sebastian. I'm talking about the brand spanking new re-release of Maison Kurkdjian's Absolue pour le Soir. One of my favorite fragrances of all time. In fact, my favorite fragrance from this house sadly was discontinued around 2020 and it's finally brought back. Does it smell the same? Have you guys gotten your nose on it? Does it compare to the original? To me, the original was a masterpiece, but it is a polarizing scent. It's sweaty, it's funky, it's musky, it's animalic. A lot of people say it doesn't smell as good as I consider it, but it's all a matter of taste and things like that. For me, it's the best amber out there, or was out there, and let's hope the new version is as good as the original. But honestly, guys, I'm not holding my breath on this. I feel like since Ciste-Labdanum was relaunched as Reflets the Ambre for Harrods exclusive, Harrods anniversary birthday release, it was not identical to the original. So I feel like this might be the same case, but I could be totally wrong. But then again, also Absolue pour le Matin is also something I'm looking forward to get my nose on. But let's first talk about Absolue pour le Soir. The original was launched in 2009. It is now brought back as a Selfridges exclusive, a 2024 relaunch. I would call this an amber spicy fragrance. It's created by Kurkdjian, who is the brand is named after, Maison Kurkdjian. So 70 ml, $270. Those are the dollar prices. I'm assuming the UK prices might be a little less. The notes for this fragrance are Cumin. This is the polarizing note that most people do not like. There's a rose honey accord. There's Ciste-Labdanum and a vanilla amber accord. So let's see what it's all about. Again, if you've gotten your nose on this one, do let us know. Put a comment down below what your thoughts are. Maybe you haven't sampled the original and you're thinking it's good, it's bad, but do let us know. But first off, let me give you some changes in the bottle. Now it has a paper label, but in the past it was, plain glass bottle. The cool thing about it, as I'm looking at it from the back, the color is the same. So does that mean it's going to smell the same? Because when you look at Ciste-Labdanum, and it came in multiple different colors, the current color of Ciste-Labdanum, which was renamed as Reflets the Ambre, was a lot lighter than the original. Here, the colors are the same. So I'm only hoping that it is very similar to the original. I'm hoping. Couple more changes. As you can see, the bottle cap is different. We've got something a bit more, not shiny and glossy like the new label, the new cap is. But other than that, everything else is the same for this, except, you've got some changes with the way they've printed the bottom as well. But most importantly, the color is the same. And that is what I am excited about. I'm thinking I'm going to get the same thing. And I'm only hoping and praying. When this fragrance got discontinued around 2020, I was really disappointed. And I wanted to get a bottle, an extra bottle of it. But I never was able to. In fact, in the anticipation video I mentioned, some people came forward and were trying to sell me bottles. But they were really asking for a lot of money. So I thought to myself, it's really expensive. I'm not going to pay that much. But now we've got the fragrance. So let's see. Let's hope it's the same. 4 sprays. Ooh, I'm smelling something very similar. Wow. This is so close, guys. Oh my God. This smells the same almost. Let's compare. Let's compare. This is exciting. So exciting. Oh, there are some changes, but very close. Oh man, this is so good. Oh man, this is so good. Very, very close, guys. This is amazing. This is great. So these are really, really close. I'm going to have to test them out on skin, which I will not be able to do it with Absolue pour le Matin. But for me, the most important thing is for me to experience something very similar to the original of Absolue pour le Soir. So first off, I'm going to spray the original bottle that I have here from, I believe I got this in 2018 or 2019. And then the new 2024 bottle here. So there are changes. It's not identical once again. I am preferring the original. For me, the new one has a hay-like quality, like almost like going to the barn and all the hay that's spread out. And then the original has a bit of a chocolatey amber effect while retaining its funk. So there are differences. See, the thing is, when I sprayed the new one without even sampling the original, it totally reminded me of it. It's when you compare them side by side that they don't smell very identical. But your brain kind of remembers what the original smelled like, and it kind of connects it to the original. But when you're breaking down the details of them, there are for sure differences. Now, I much prefer the original. I'm telling you that right off the bat. And the hay-like quality is kind of a turnoff for me, actually. Just imagine the hay when you're like, you know, doing this thing with it and it's kind of releasing the dust off of it. And there's that smell in the air of the hay. It's what I'm getting with this one. It's a bit more dry compared to the original, where there's that chocolatey smoothness here with the original. And I've never connected it to chocolate before, but when I'm comparing it side by side, for some strange reason, with the original, I'm getting a bit of a chocolatey effect. But what's happening with the new version now, it's starting to become a bit more like the original Absolue pour le Soir, not the redo, which is great. But the barn, the hay kind of barn thing, could be a turnoff to some people. In fact, the fragrance itself is very polarizing, as I said. It's got Animalic funk to it, so it doesn't attract a lot of folks. It's very polarizing. There's a lot of lovers of it, and there's a lot of haters of it. It's depending on what they get when they smell it. For me, it was a very smooth amber, but very animalic and musky, and also sweaty. But there are changes for sure between the two. I think anyone that's not smelled the original might be happy with this if they are into the animalics, the sweaty, spicy, you know, funky, musky animalics. But those of you that are very familiar with the original and you compare them side by side, you will notice. In fact, when you're wearing this and experiencing it, you'll definitely notice that they are different. That whole hay thing is very, very noticeable for me, and that really makes them different from one another. It's that hay thing that really does it. Once that is done and over with, which it's happening now, it's becoming more very similar like the original. So I should say I'm a lot more happy with this in comparison to Ciel-de-Gaume and Reflets d'Ambre. And also A Pomme, a part of me, the original, and then the A Part of Me now, the new version. And here, even though I'm noticing the differences, I think they've given us something quality, not super identical to the original, but I think it's doable. If I never smelled the original Absolue pour le Soir and I enjoyed the smell of hay, I might be happy with this one. I have to get myself used to that smell. I'm not the biggest fan of hay, but the fact that this is developing into smelling like the original Absolue pour le Soir, I'm liking it. So the next thing for me to do is to test how this, stays on skin and all that good stuff. But so far so good. I think they've given us something quality here. I feel like also the intensity is very similar to the original, except for that one change I noticed, the hay-like smell that reminded me of a barn is a bit different. But other than that, I think it's quality, definitely. So let's move on to Absolue pour le Matin next. Let me know if you've sampled this fragrance or if you were a fan of it when it was originally launched. The Absolue pour le Soir was from 2009. Absolue pour le Matin was from 2010. I don't recall when Absolue pour le Matin got discontinued, but again, I was never one that wore it, so I'm a bit unfamiliar with this one, even though I had smelled it in passing. This is completely different than Absolue pour le Soir. This is more of a freshy, a citrusy, violet, powdery fragrance. This is it right here. So 2010 initially launched. 2024 it was brought back as a Selfridges exclusive. This is considered an aromatic citrus fragrance. It's created once again by Francis Kurkdjian of Maison Francis Kurkdjian. And it's a 70 ml bottle for $2.70. The thing I'm wondering about these two fragrances, are they going to stay exclusive to Selfridges permanently? I personally don't think these are going to stay Selfridges exclusive, by the way. I think they might be for some months or maybe even a year, but I think these will land everywhere else. That's just my opinion, and that's what I'm guessing. But the notes for Absolue pour le Matin are lemons, thyme, orange blossom accord, violet accord, powdery woody accord. Those are the only notes that they list for this. Let's smell it and see what it's all about. I like the idea of violets and citruses together. Not a common combo, but I do like that idea. Now this one I'm not a big fan of. This one is going to have to be sprayed on skin, so I can give you my opinion on it. Let's see. But on the strip, I didn't really care for it. So there was a fragrance by Gucci called Gucci Guilty Cologne, that kind of green juice. The idea of this kind of reminds me of that. And also a bit of the smell as well. It smells better on skin. I think I'm going to have to put this one to use. I'm kind of unfamiliar with it and I'm not really loving what I'm smelling. It's a strange combo maybe, huh? Lemons and violets together. I don't know how much this fragrance was loved by, its fans, how many, I don't know how popular this fragrance was. So I don't understand why this one was brought back at the same time Absolue pour le Soir was brought back. I know there was a following for Absolue pour le Soir. I didn't realize there was a following for Absolue pour le Matin. So maybe they're testing us here to see which ones are going to sell, and then maybe they're going to release them, everywhere. But for me, I'm very happy for Absolue pour le Soir. I gave you my opinions on it. It smelled very identical to the original without comparing it side by side. There are noticeable differences between the original and the new version when you are comparing them side by side. But I feel like once I start wearing this and testing it out, I think I will end up enjoying it a lot more. And also, for me, they had a similar experience as far as how big and beefy it was, how, you know, intense the wearing was. So that part I think they've captured perfectly. The only thing is that they've changed the formula a bit, and it smells a bit different when you're comparing it with the original one. But I'm happy with Absolue Pour le Soir 2024. I just need to put it to use a bit more. And actually, I'm a little up in the air with Absolue Pour le Matin. I'll see if I end up enjoying it after wearing it a bit. But it's not my... Well, it's actually smelling a lot better now. First sniffs I wasn't really a fan of, but it's drying down to be a bit more interesting, and it is reminding me of that Gucci Guilty cologne and that kind of greenish liquid that it came in. That was one of my favorite Gucci Guilty fragrances, and it got discontinued obviously, so we can kind of enjoy it here with this fragrance, although that was a lot less expensive than this. Anyway, those are my thoughts today on Absolue Pour le Soir 2024 and Absolue Pour le Matin 2024. What are your thoughts on these two fragrances, two new fragrances exclusively for Selfridges? Let me know. Put a comment down below. If you have any questions or comments, please list below. Please like this video. Please share it. Follow me on Instagram and Facebook, and I'll be back with more videos very soon. Have a good one. Goodbye.